Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the PMI UAE chapter webinar. Please let us know where you are coming from and where you are joining from, I mean. Oh, we have someone from Jordan. Hello, Omar. Ajman, no, Mumbai. Amar, you have a lot of KSA, see? And there's a lot of them, okay. You can see them coming. Amar, you can say hi to them all. Dubai, from Greece. Mashallah, we have someone from Greece. Canada, see, told
Canada
you.
joining. Yeah.
Canada joining, yes. From China Petroleum, UAE. Vancouver, Canada. Ioannis from Greece. Hello, everyone. We'll just give a few more time for the others to join. For the meantime, please do a virtual networking by sharing your LinkedIn profile so we can connect and interact. Welcome everyone for the PMI UAE chapter webinar. We have someone from Austin, Qatar. Welcome, good evening. And also, if you haven't done so, please follow PMI UAE chapters LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, already posted by our colleague Amir on the chat. Yes, Amir, it's excellent to e-meet you through you as well through the PMI UAE meetup. Thank you for sharing your profiles. I'm gonna connect with you all later. After I hand over the stage to Amar. Dr. Malik from KFUPM, KSA. Hello. See who else are joining and where they are joining from. So I should say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no? Not just only good evening. From Bahrain, Muhammad Yahya.
I think we have, from everywhere. We have east to west.
Yes.
We need north to south. Now, Australia, I have not seen. I have seen.
Are they asleep at this time?
No. Let me ask
What
Google.
time is +7, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, Google. What time is it in Sydney?
The time in Sydney, Australia, is 1:03 a.m. on Friday.
Okay.
Told ya.
No problem. Nice. No problem.
Okay, we'll give it 2 more minutes and then I will open the webinar, okay, officially. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to connect as well. Again, I will access your LinkedIn's later, okay, after I hand over the stage to Amar. Good evening, everyone. And for the information of everyone, this webinar is recorded and will be published in our YouTube channel after a week or so. Also, the material of Mr. Amar for tonight's webinar will be shared to the attendees. And finally, if you have questions, feel free to put them please in the Q&A because it's if it is on the chat box, it will be covered by the other questions. Good evening from Palestine. Okay, I think we have reached the mark 100. I can start the introduction right now. Okay, good evening, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who are here tonight. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the PMI UAE chapter's webinar entitled PMO Role in Leading Disruptive Initiatives in Today's Organization. This will be delivered by our esteemed speaker, Mr. Amar Mango. My name is Irene Corpus and I will be your moderator for tonight. Before I introduce our speaker, allow me to give you a brief about the few logistics. First, I will give a brief introduction about our PMI UAE chapter, which is especially important for the first-time attendees. And then after that, I will introduce Amar and give you the virtual stage to him. Following his uninterrupted presentation for 45 minutes, we will have a short Q&A wherein I will read your questions posted in the Q&A box. Amar and I will do our best to accommodate all your questions within the time frame. We encourage you to post your thoughts as well on the chat and interact with us to make the webinar conversational and engaging one. Now, allow me to go to the PMI UAE chapter. Hold on, please. Please share my screen. Okay, the PMI Institute UAE chapter. Okay, your chats are coming into my screen. Okay, PMI was founded in 1969 by a group of working project managers. And after 50 years later, PMI is still the source and now the source of all things about the project management. It is a globally recognized standard and credentials that offers training, accreditation, and communities as well. The UAE chapter vision is empowering and influencing individuals with the innovative project economy principles to turn ideas into reality. And our chapter mission is to disrupt and create value to our chapter members and partners to become agile, innovative, productive in the platform for the growth of the project economy. The PMI UAE chapter is run by 100% volunteers. So everyone who contacted you, Amar, all volunteers. Everyone with you here in this webinar, organizing the webinar, are all volunteers. We have 3,000 plus active chapter members, and we are ranked top 5th chapter in the PMI UAE region. So we are dependent on you, our chapter members, to make our activities as interactive and as invigorating as possible. Showing you here are the board of directors. We are headed by the president, Mr. Adil Sultan, and the rest of the directors are here as well. PMI members have the benefit of accessing digital library, the PMBOK, certification discounts, community engagement, and other exclusive membership access. You also have the access to the PMI Picks and Career Navigator. So if you can access the PMI.org, they are all in there as well. And a part of the enhanced PMI UAE chapter benefits include 4 pillars like networking, learning and knowledge sharing, career growth, and events. This one that we are having right now is a part of the diversified webinars. We also have some face-to-face event, one of which will be happening on October 15th. Please do visit our website and LinkedIn page so you can see the details of this webinar. And we hope to see you all in there. Our silver sponsors are Dubai Properties and Miraz. And we also have our collaboration partners here with us, very supportive of PMI UAE's activities. For the PDU information, you will receive 2 strategic PDUs. They will be credited to you. I understand that there are some concerns about PDUs not being credited. That is already being looked at by our membership director, and please, we will communicate with you. Please inform us, email again at info@pmiuae.org, or please drop your email privately to me at the chat box, and I'll make sure that your email gets to our membership team, okay? We apologize for that delay. And to find out more about our upcoming events, please visit our website, pmiuae.org, and follow us on social media channels, PMIUAE Chapter and LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Okay, so now I'm very excited, Amar, to introduce you. Mr. Amar Mango, founder of CIP, is a certified XO, Exponential Organization Consultant, and coach with a passion to help clients break through and transform into higher levels of performance. For the past 3 decades, he has been helping individuals and organizations, including Fortune 500 companies, improve competitiveness and boost performance using cutting-edge technology and global best practices. He has worked as an SME with Big Four consulting firms and clients such as NEOM, the big Saudi project, Ford, Samsung, Dubai Police, Toyota, and more. He has led, designed, and built some of the first PMOs worldwide for companies, including Ford Electronics Division, Visteon Systems, Fermi 2 Nuclear Plant, Y2K PMO. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited to welcome Mr. Amar Mango. Amar, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Thank you everyone for attending. We have something that we need to talk about today, which is what is coming around the corner. I would like to thank everyone for being here, of course. PMI, I have a long history with PMI. Big part of my career I owe to actually my friends and community in PMI, including yourself. So I'm very happy to be talking about a very important subject, which is what is coming, what's around the corner when it comes to project management and the change that project management is here to create. Allow me to share my screen right here, and we get right to it. I'm sharing my screen, so I hope everyone can see my screen. And we will talk about the PMO role in leading disruptive initiatives in today's organizations. Change is all around us. The accelerated rate of change is challenging to organizations and individuals. And there are ways to manage as project managers, as PMOs, as professionals, and as organizations. And I wanted to talk about that today. You've made the introduction. I really appreciate it. I'll start with a quote from a writer I love reading for. He has a couple of books out there. One of them is called 2041. His name is Kai-Fu Lee, an AI expert. Beautiful book, very profound. One of the things that he talks about is that by 2026, the labor force predominantly in white-collar roles, so we're not talking about automation of your manufacturing type automation, white-collar roles will face potential job displacement, leading to quiet dissolution and emotional distress. Now, but luckily for us, he talks about the fact that, in his opinion, that this does not mean that humans will be completely replaced, of course. But many experts out there talk about the fact that humans who are working with AI and use AI will definitely have the advantage over those who do not. Things are changing. More change is coming. Salim Ismail, one of the founders of Singularity University in Silicon Valley, also of the EXO organization to which I belong, says 40% of Fortune 500 companies will disappear in the next 10 years. To me, I think this is an understatement. I think at the rate of acceleration where things are going, those visionaries who talk about the change are coming back and talking about how surprised and astonished at how fast things are accelerating towards that change. PMI is also talking about the change that is coming. It's talking about how the AI disruption is happening. For example, 81% of respondents report their organization is being impacted by AI technologies. 37% of the project will be managed using AI over the next 3 years, not too long from now. 37% of the respondents say adopting AI technologies is a high priority for their organizations. The 2/3 of global CEOs believe AI is a bigger disruptor than the internet has been. And I've seen some put AI at the same level as electricity, and some who talk about AI as probably the biggest disruptor and might be the last disruptor in the human history. So a lot to think about. And we need some kind of framework to help us deal with this change that is coming. And I've been following and looking at different methodologies that have been coming out in the past few years. Of course, like the exponential blue ocean shift. The new methodology, exponential blue ocean shift, which we are using currently, that actually consists of multiple methodologies. It's actually a consolidation of multiple methodologies that we have seen out there. And it takes advantage of learning and building up of strategy from its traditional origins to the blue ocean shift and finding a differentiator in the market coming out from the red ocean, and then the disruption and the exponential growth that Silicon Valley and Singularity University talks about. The exponential growth comes from a school related to many of the pioneers of Silicon Valley. They talk about growing exponentially. Exponential happens when you double on your targets every period. So for example, annually, if you measure annually, then that means growth annually. And this is how disruption happens. As they say, usually disruption in the beginning would look slow, but it's not slow. It's happening and it's exponentially growing, but you cannot see it because of all the noise from other things that are around it. But over time, you will see this disruption, which is what's happening with things like, for example, AI has been around, I think, since the 1950s, if I remember correctly. But now we see it, like what we see with ChatGPT, SpaceX, Apple, etc., PayPal. Now the speed at which exponential growth is happening with newcomers into the market is also accelerating. So not only we are having these companies that are growing exponentially as far as communities and as far as also growth and as far as revenues, but also this acceleration is accelerating where for example, how long did it take ChatGPT to sprint to 1 million users? Netflix took 3.5 years. ChatGPT took 5 days. This is where we are today. This is where things are moving. Now, we need a framework to work into this. Peter Diamandis, luckily, he's the founder of SpaceX, Singularity University, also one of the founders. He talks about exponential growth. He talks about a framework of how do we look at exponential growth? What are the phases of exponential growth? So that helps us also put things into perspective. He talks about digitization. He talks about deception, which means sometimes you start with exponential growth, but then you do not see it, as we say, for a while until the growth gets above the noise and people start noticing it. Then we go into disruption, and then we go into demonetization, where the service that used to be for money, now it's offered for free or almost free. Then we go into dematerialization, where things that used to have a physical existence does not to be physically there. It can be virtual. And then we go into democratization, where we provide things that were for the elite at one point, or only in a certain geographic location, is now available worldwide. We're not going to get into the details of these of disruption, but I would like to lay the ground on that there are frameworks out there. One of the things that I really like about what Peter Thiel in his book 0 to 1, he talks about the fact The very fact that you're going from 0 to 1 makes it impossible to have a formula for disruption, formula for creating something new, because it's against all the formulas. Formulas means we are growing on something that exists, we are scaling. But to get into something new, then there are no formulas. However, so many people are confused about, okay, where do I start with this whole thing? How do I deal with this? And I'm trying to offer some frameworks to help us put ourselves in the right context on how to deal with disruption, how to deal with exponential growth. If you'd like to learn more, of course, about the exponential growth, there is the EXO organization, led by Peter Diamandis and Salim Ismail. You can go to, I'm a member of that. It's an excellent organization that you can join and be a member. And also there are certifications there. Now, when we looked at this methodology by the EXO organization, we loved it. And it talks about attributes for disruption and attributes for exponential growth. We said, this is beautiful, but how do you go about it? So as a consultant, I started offering this to organizations. And when you put these attributes of growth that the exponential organization talks about, people are at a loss of, okay, I'm at business as usual today. You're telling me I have to think about these things to disrupt and exponentially grow. How do I make that bridge? So we started looking for models to gradually take and shift, to have the paradigm shift happen that will take us into the right thinking for today's world, which organizations today definitely need. Because business as usual is taking 99% of our thinking. So we started looking at some of the frameworks that are in the Blue Ocean shift. Blue Ocean talks about going beyond the competition, not thinking about competition, which is also what exponential growth talks about. It's not about competition. Business used to be traditionally about competition. It's not competition. You have to be coming up with something that puts you maybe 10x beyond competition, where you are offering value where competition becomes irrelevant. And Blue Ocean talks about that. So we brought in some of the models from the Blue Ocean, some of the models and the attributes from the exponential thinking, and we put a phased approach to help an organization to do this shift in thinking and in its paradigms to start talking about exponential growth within the organization. So we start by seeing a future that we seek. One of the things that I really like, a question that also Peter Thiel talks about, my hero Peter Thiel, actually, these days. He talks about, not that I agree with everything that he says, but really, if you read the book 0 to 1, it's really beautiful. One of the things he talks about looking at the future is that he asks a question, beautiful question. He says, when he does interviews, he asks, what important truths about the world that you have that most people disagree with you on? And he says, this is the beginning point of growth, exponential growth, and of creating something of exponential value. So anyway, so we start always with looking at the future. What future do we seek? Disruptive future. How do we look at the future? What will be unequivocal success in the future? And we start drawing this picture. Sometimes people are really worried about making this picture because it's not easy. And also because we are afraid to fail sometimes, we're afraid to dream. But we're not going to get into that. But there are ways to help the organization, the leaders in the organization, everybody in the organization think about the vision, about the future. Once we look at the vision and we see a vivid picture of what we want the future to be, even if it was in themes, then we go back and we try to understand our current status. This is all the EBOS methodology that we have put together, as I said, based on the exponential organization methodology of Salim Ismail, the Blue Ocean methodology, and also the traditional strategy methodologies that are used out there by many organizations. So the future, okay, where do we stand right now? We try to have an objective view of where we stand, because most organizations, they overestimate their differentiator and they overestimate how ready they are for the future. So we try to understand the current status in an objective fashion. There are models that we put. It's not just a general discussion. There are models that we put to help us structure this discussion so it does not go in the wrong direction. After that, we talk about, so we understand the current status, where we want to go. Then comes the question, how do we get there? Then we talk about innovation and disruption. We use some models like the Blue Ocean Canvas, voice of the customer. We use exponential growth attributes. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And we start putting the vehicles by which we will achieve this future, or we see ourselves achieving this future. And then we go into what we call the exponential growth activation, where the role of the PMO and project management comes into play. The EXO organization calls it the exponential growth unit, that ensures these initiatives can actually happen, given that we have to take care of business as usual. And I think one of the best places for the EGU is to be part of the PMO organization. So this is the methodology that we have for the EBOS, and there are many models that we use, as I said, in each one of these steps. Now, the step number 3, innovation and disruption. We do step 1 and 2 to help us do 3. And it's not easy to do 3 without some prep work. Now, luckily, the EXO organization team has put together excellent attributes that can use us to think about how do we disrupt, how do we exponentially grow. And they put actually 10 attributes, 5 of them external, they call them ideas, the acronym for them, and 5 of them internal, and they call them, I'm sorry, the opposite is true. 5 of them internal, which is ideas, and 5 of them external, which is the scale. But from experience, by doing this to tens of organizations, and for the feedback we got, we tried different things, because experimentation is a big part of this. We came up with our own attributes. We call them project attributes. They consist of 7 attributes that help us actually disrupt and exponentially grow. We're not going to go into them, but for example, the ones on the left-hand side, the ones from the EXO you can find online, which is, you have to start using staff on demand, for example, versus regular staffing. Many organizations are doing this. Some of the biggest organizations, Fortune 100 organizations, are now saying, we want more than 50% of staff to be staff on demand, not regular employment. I think regular employment is going to be obsolete very soon. Community and crowd, meaning building communities around you. There are lots of ways you can build communities, and people are getting creative with that. Algorithms and automation. This is also related to artificial intelligence. Definitely, you can leverage assets by using other people's assets. You can use engagement. So all of these are attributes that make you think about your business in a new way. The ones that we have, and I'm really excited about these because of the results that we have seen. We believe in platforms. This is very similar to community and crowd. We believe in building platforms so people can gather and talk about their mission, their purpose, and they can help each other achieve this purpose. We believe in providing real-time info for executives, and this also helps with the decision-making and the agility of how fast we can exponentially grow. We have something we call offer they can't refuse. This OTCR, we call it, where you put something totally unusual. One of the companies that started with this, and I'm not saying good or bad, but for example, when Microsoft came in and they put in their browser against Netscape and they offered it for free. So sometimes offering something that the client cannot refuse can help you also disrupt and exponentially grow. Looking at the journey of the customer, so you know what the customer journey is, not focusing on your part, but understanding the customer journey, the ecosystem. Who else is in this ecosystem? Who else? You might consider competitors or suppliers. All of you are in this ecosystem to create value. We can work together to create value. It's one of the things we do. Capacity building is important. We believe this is one of the ways you can actually exponentially grow. And something we call value destruction. We put total in front of it so it fits project. Total value destruction, which means something that used to be for money, for value, now it's actually for free. This is one of the things that when I put in front of executive boards, the most that faces resistance, because you're telling them their baby, the thing that they are most proud of, they have to actually give for free. And we've done this quite a few times. There is a pharmaceutical we did this for, they used to sell actually certain formulas that help optimize, I'm not a pharma person, optimize the cycle for some of the manufacturers, certain types of manufacturers. And we came up with an idea of, you know what, let's offer this for free. This is not, will this help us reach? And we found out this will help us reach because everybody wants this formula. And then we can actually work around the peripherals of this. But what we did, we also automated this so it does not cost the company. It would be cost almost zero for the company. So they can offer it for free and they can work around the peripherals with the reach that they have made. So all of these ideas that come up when we talk about innovation. Now, we've tried this tens of times. I think around 30. We've done 30 experimentations from small startups to some of the biggest ministries in the region. And the nice thing is the scalability of this model on how you can work with it, the flexibility that it offers, given that it's a structure, but also has lots of flexibility. We tried with government. We've tried at the minister level with all the assistant ministers. We've done this for pharmaceutical with a couple of companies. We've done this for logistics to very nice success. FMCG, we've done retail, we've done management consultants, we've done fintech, all of it at really very nice levels of success. One of the most important things that come out from this, and it's really profound, is to see how the thinking changes and how the fear of the change dissipates as we see that we can actually still be in the market, offer value, and take advantage actually of these changes that are happening in the world and the AI enablement and all of that. Checks all the time. It seems like we're okay on time still. That's good. So some of the results we've got. We have some of the companies we worked with are some of the best performers out there. And not because they used this methodology. I think because they had the leadership that insisted on the fact that there is a change coming and we have to understand how we're going to deal with this change. And this really helped. Many of them have much better brand recognition. And this is what, you know, participants, CEOs usually, we do not, here's something about the EBOS. We will not do the EBOS if the head of the organization is not in the room. So usually we end up, we have to have the CEO. We don't do this at the department level. I'm not saying it will not work, but we do not do it. We do it at the CEO level. We do it at the organization head level, ministry level, if there is a semi-gov organization, we would go in as long as the head is part of this exercise, because leadership being there is very important for things to actually happen. We have seen lean growth. Some of the companies with revenues in hundreds of millions are able to do that with tens of employees. This is the new workplace. Business transformation is happening. You see better market focus, better commercial focus, better revenue growth, sustainable growth, which is going to be very important. I mean, it's really ironic and difficult to talk about sustainability when we are talking about change at the same time. It's amazing what the combination gives us. Now, let's go to the PMO side. See, we talked about all these steps that we do. The last step in this EBOS, the exponential blue ocean shift, is the actual action plan. So, okay, fine, we put a strategy, we put a plan, put themes to the strategy, we put certain initiatives we want to do. Now we have to implement. So the execution is really important. And the execution, we chose the PMO as the vehicle of execution for the EBOS, because it's the best vehicle to cross-functionally be able to carry out change and also bring together the whole organization towards creating the value and the throughput that we are after. Now, PMI has done lots of research about where we are heading with the PMO role in the age of AI. Many things came out from this. I advise and recommend looking at something that came up, I think, in the last couple of years called the Project Management Technology, Project Management, I think Project Manager Technology Quotient, PMTQ. It talks about project managers who are able actually to work in this new age, time and age, where you have always on curiosity, all-inclusive leadership, and a future-proof talent pool. This report actually, I think in the last couple of years, if you like, we can send you a reference where you can find it. Now the PMO role has to shift also. For example, agility is now becoming, even in the PMO function, not only at the project level, in the PMO function, agility is becoming very important. So we take that into consideration. The importance of understanding the minimum viable product, the MVP, and how to develop an MVP, and what is an MVP and what is not. The importance of experimentation also, and failing fast and learning fast. And what is the purpose of experimentation? There is lots of misconception about what experimentation is. For example, some people are experimenting for the sake of experimenting. Some people are considering experimentation as a way to do a phased approach to projects. Experimentation is neither. So this is very important for the PMO to lead the understanding of what we mean by experimentation. Also, as I said, the exponential growth unit can actually handle certain types of projects that you do not want the business as usual organization to be confused by. I mean, you have to involve the whole organization definitely, but you cannot let the EGU work get in the way of everyday business. And this is a challenge, and you have to work on that. The PMO role it's coming definitely. And already lots of people are experimenting with that. There are AI tools that are coming out that will help us with the PMO role. And we need an entrepreneurial spirit. All of this can happen only when we have data, clarity on the data, regardless of how we process the data. How much data we have, of course, the better. But you have to have data. You have to have clarity. You have to ensure you have the data. You have the right management for the data, etc. And all of this, the PMO can play a big role in. This is what I had. Now I'll open this for Q&A. And if you like to know more about the eBoss, you can scan this. We have a tool for the eBoss. And now it's the new version. Hopefully in the next couple of months will come out. It will be AI enabled. We have a book, eBoss book, if you're interested in getting a copy. We do workshops, hands-on workshop, company-specific or organization-specific workshops on the eBoss. And we provide also advisory services. We would love for you to connect with us on LinkedIn. This is what I had for you prepared. And I think this leaves us with the most important part, which is the Q&A, and this leaves us plenty of time for that. And I look forward to hearing your questions.
Thank you very much, Amar. It's mind-boggling, hearing this eBoss, the blue ocean thing. If you cannot share your screen so we can see you clearly, no, on the screen. Thank you very much, Amar. Okay. Few things here. I have learned about blue ocean strategy years ago, maybe 10 years ago, but perhaps that was the different blue ocean strategy. The one that I learned is about the blue ocean that is contesting the uncontested market.
Yes.
No? But now the eBoss is exponential. Blue ocean shift strategy. So it's, I think, way beyond just swimming into the uncontested market. Mm-hmm. What I can see from your presentation, it looks kind of very threatening to existing organizations if they will not apply that. Because in your introduction, you just said that 40% of future Fortune 500 companies will disappear. How is that? If I may start the discussion with this, please, and then I will go with the question.
Sure. We have to remember that for the longest time, business was making demands of technology. saying we need more, we want more. We are at a stage today where what technology can offer is beyond the ask of business and even beyond the grasp and understanding of the business leaders. This offers an opportunity for those who can get a better grasp of what this technology can offer to actually disrupt the market and exponentially grow beyond what any current Fortune 500 company is growing. And we're already seeing these companies getting out of the way and making room for newer, faster, more nimble, more agile type of companies.
Mm-hmm. And how is it? Is it? Correct me if my understanding is wrong. I feel it is only for it can only be applied by companies who have already been there, who are already highly established. If I'm an entrepreneur, a new one, will that apply to me? It looks like so expensive of an investment for me to go into an e-boss or an e-boss strategy.
Excellent question. Thank you for asking this question. I believe that there is an advantage for smaller startups to take advantage of the fact that they are lean still. And the fact that lots of the tools that are out there are being democratized. They are becoming available for really close to nothing. So that opportunity, along with your ability to move probably faster than the bigger players, and maybe if you also start thinking about a niche area that you want to focus on, where you take advantage of maybe your geographical location, your knowledge, the type of community that you can give value to, and your experience, I think that combination will be very hard for anybody who is more broader and general to compete with. So I believe smaller countries and I believe smaller companies have a big opportunity today.
Okay, so the attendees here who are entrepreneurs or planning to launch a startup, I read in one of the slides, offer that they can't refuse. Your strategy has to have something, an offer that they can refuse. I have a question here from Tirupati. How does e-boss and sustainability are related to each other? Does the e-boss encompass sustainability guide in standards?
An excellent question. Now, when we talk about sustainability, we have to remember that what we are after is there is one definition of sustainability is where you as a company are offering more value than you are consuming resources from this world. And I like this definition. Another definition related to sustainability is to ask ourselves, where will our company be 10 to 15 years from now? How can I position my company to be a contender and to be a value provider and creator 10 to 15 years from now? This is why it is puzzling for us when we see some companies who are today in the red, bottom line, and still their valuation is much higher than other companies that have more assets and are actually making money, but they're making money today. But how will they do in 10 to 15 years? Maybe this company that's in the red today has an answer about where it's heading in the coming 10 to 15 years. Maybe the other companies do not have an answer. And I see this is the kind of relationship I see between the e-boss and sustainability, about the organization being able to sustain. We're not talking about making money today. We're talking about sustaining and creating value for the long term.
But isn't that what the purpose and the goal of every organization is right now, really to sustain and create value every time. The competition is getting stronger and stronger. There's another question here from
Yes.
Huda. With AI, e-boss and all the new technologies, would doing business as usual kill the business? So this is what I'm actually heading into. It's like, will it kill the business, or how can it be sustained? This is from Huda.
So will business as usual kill the business?
Yes.
That's the question?
With AI, yeah, with AI, with e-boss and the new technologies, all of this together, will the doing business as usual kill the business?
Yeah, I honestly cannot see how a company can continue with how they've done. I cannot see how any company will be profitable or sustainable using past theories of how to compete in the market or how to be a good business, because the game has changed. You cannot just rely on what has happened in the past. If you've done well in the past, that should make you even worry more, because what worked for you in the past are the old formulas of the past, and for sure these are not going to work. These are not going to work in the new world.
Yeah, true. And you know what? If before it will take, let's just talk about mobile or maybe computers, no? In the old times, it will take maybe 5 years to launch a new model of the computer. Forgive me if my age will reveal. IBM PC XT. And then there's the 286, the 386, the 486, no?
Wow.
How many years are the interval? But this time, buy a mobile phone right now, after 6 months, there's a new model.
Absolutely.
So this is how fast the industry is facing. Another question from Ahmed: if a company or startup cannot shift from red to blue, what should the PMO do?
I like this question.
Yeah.
There is a role in every change in any organization. There is a role for awareness, because without awareness, a change is not going to happen. We have to be clear on what is the danger of doing business as usual, how we cannot stay where we are and assume that we are safe in where we are. And we need to see that there is a possibility of a better future. All of this awareness can be created by PMO. PMO is in a very good position to spread this awareness, given that it works across functions and it has to talk to the executives also for decision-making purposes. So I think awareness might be a good place to start. And definitely the PMO alone cannot get this done. It needs the support from leadership.
Yeah, but there's another question here, interesting, leading to that, from someone who do not want to be identified. How individuals can benefit from e-boss if organizations are not moving forward? Because you just mentioned, don't go into e-boss if the CEO is not there, if the leadership is not there. So what if the individuals or the employees already see the benefit of e-boss, but the organizations are not really moving forward to it?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Wonderful question. Yeah.
It cannot be, we cannot actually be complacent waiting for management, for leadership to take action. We have a responsibility towards ourselves, towards the community, towards our organization. So our responsibility is not narrowly focused on our role. We are responsible for creating value in this world, value within our role, within our community, within our organization, within our professional associations that we work in. And with this kind of discussion, then more awareness will happen, more people will be committed, and we can do more. So we cannot just say, I'll just wait for the CEO to decide. There's a lot that all of us can do to create the awareness and create this change.
But what I heard, what I'm hearing, or what I'm feeling from that question, Almar, to be honest, is someone who is expressing a situation in real life, a real scenario within the environment, no? Perhaps that individual or participant here, thank you for that question, is someone who really wants to move forward of strategic thinking, value creation, and this thing that really would move an organization forward, but kind of a frustrating if the management is really still the driver in the end. No, we have a question here.
Sure.
We have another question here, kind of a question that is, I think, a programmer. eBoss from Dennis. Is it kind of a software that is another form of Python? You know Python, Amar?
Sure, Python, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
Yes. No, it's not. Actually, eBoss is a strategic framework that helps organizations transform and exponentially grow. The eBoss has a tool. There is a software tool that is AI enabled that will help us actually, as we go through the different frameworks of the strategy that I talked about, it will look at what we have developed, it will critique it, give us feedback, give us trends, and give us ideas about how we can actually go about implementing this eBoss successfully. So it's a strategy tool to put a strategy together, then put your initiatives together, and then proceed to implement and execute the strategy towards transformation.
Okay, great. And how could we save the physical jobs from getting replaced by AI? This is a question from Vinod, because, you know, I think this eBoss is another tool, AI enabled. Yes, you're introducing another strategy, but could possibly be replaced as well by an AI. So how could we save this physical job from getting replaced?
I believe
will it replace? Will AI replace this eBoss strategic planning?
I believe AI has to be an integral part of it, and it has to become part of the discussion. There is always room for human intellect and how us humans think, how we have emotions, how we collaborate. And after all, it's us humans who came up with AI. So there is the human intellect, the human emotions, the human collaboration will always be needed. But just like everything else, you cannot be left behind. You don't want to be left behind. I mean, when cars came about, I don't think a question that should have been on the table, maybe it was, is how do we save the work of the people who are on horse carts, or people who have jobs related to horse carts, and there were jobs actually related to horse carts that roamed the streets. And these jobs are gone and they are obsolete. So I empathize definitely with the question that needs to be asked about how will this affect our society? How will it affect our culture? What will it do to the human psyche? I understand these questions, but at the end of the day, I'm not really sure if the answer is to hold back advancement in technology. Because one of the scenarios I see from this is no illness, no war, no crime, abundance for everybody. I'm not saying it's the only scenario. I'm not saying it will happen, but I can see a direction where this can happen as a result of this advancement.
Well, okay, and agree with you that we cannot live without AI already. It's already there. We have to embrace it. We have to prepare ourselves, upgrade, upskill, reskill, whatever. We don't want to be left behind, you know? We cannot
Absolutely.
just always ask what's going to happen to our job. See how you can manage the AI. That's one of the things, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Is exponential growth in 1 year or less, or is it a longer period of time allowed to exponentially grow when applying eBoss? This is from Hilal.
Thank you so much for your question. Exponential growth happens from the moment that you start putting the drivers of exponential growth to work. However, it might not be noticed in the beginning because the growth is actually overshadowed by existing engines that are creating maybe a bigger type of results, because this is still a baby and still growing. So for example, if we're producing 1,000 units of value through our business as usual, and we created something that is creating 2 units, but the next month is creating 4, and the next month is creating 8. So exponential growth is happening, but compared to the thousands and units that are happening in the business as usual, you don't see them. Then all of a sudden, you start seeing these numbers coming up, and usually this is why it becomes overwhelming for people. They say, "Oh my God, where did this AI come from all of a sudden?" It's not all of a sudden. It's been there for a while, and people have been working on it, and it's been exponentially growing. But at certain point, when you break beyond the normal growth of the organization, the incremental growth, you start noticing the exponential growth. So exponential growth happens immediately, and it can happen immediately, and you can see it monthly.
And I think there's a potential here when it comes to someone really concerned about maybe losing a job, but now finding a job or an opportunity with eBoss. What is the awareness level about BOSS in the UAE market? And how can project managers or strategy consultants learn about eBoss so they can implement it as an important strategy tool, whether in-house or as consultant? From Abhishek and another anonymous. Yeah. Thank you,
Irene. Irene, I will answer with a story. In 1990, I was in the US. I was working as a consultant for Ford Electronics division. And a friend of mine, who has much more experience than I did at that time, recommended, he said, "Ammar, are you a PMP yet?" I said, "No." So go get it. And that way, he was not so talkative, Terry. He was not so talkative. So I went and I got it. And my number I was the 728th, I think, or 30th PMP worldwide. It was the beginning.
Wow.
So things always have a beginning, but then you start seeing them when they start exponentially growing. And this is why we have PMI is being noticed. eBoss is still, it's in its infancy stage. We are building a certification program around it because we need lots of consultants who can carry this value to their countries, organizations, geographies, industries, etc. So we're still in the beginning. We're scratching the surface, and we are very excited.
Okay, and in terms of implementation, can you tell us which companies have successfully implemented eBoss? And is it applicable to construction industry as well? There are questions here.
Excellent. We have done pharmaceutical companies. We've done ministries. One of the biggest ministries actually in the region implemented this with excellent results. We have logistics, FMCG. We have not done construction, but I'm a civil engineer, and I know this will work for construction also. Fintech we have done. This is across industries. We've done logistics and shipping, so it actually lends itself across industries.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember that slide that you mentioned. You mentioned a few: semi-government, pharma, logistics, yes. FMCG, retail, consulting, yes. And fintech. No, yes, is there a part in your website where they can see the success stories, at least to reference as well?
Yes, if you send us, if people who send us an interest query, we will be happy to send all the resources that we have, and we will be happy to help in any way we can to help people start implementing the eBoss to help create value.
Okay, and I know. See, I told you, Ammar, there's a lot of questions. You thought there that they are not interacting at the start of your presentation, huh? But the moment you finish the presentation, all the questions are coming. So I think we're gonna take 3 more questions. Okay. Any advice on how to raise awareness about AI for those who are resistant about the fact of AI? AI is there.
I advise to look at the awareness methodologies that are out there in OCM and organizational change management models. I like the ADKAR model from ProSci. Look at the awareness methodologies they talk about. Usually in the early stages of awareness, you want to be like the radio, like the podcast, where you are actually one direction announcements that show that you send out lots of studies, surveys, things like that. So people are, you get people's attention. Then the discussion starts. So there is a methodology on how to get actually the awareness. I advise you to look at the ProSci method, the awareness. Also, Qatar methodology on that talks about also the importance of awareness in the early stages and how to do that. Sure.
Cotter's model. Yeah, someone mentioned in the chat Cotter's
Yes.
model. And also Amir Bawa already. I think, Amir, your question has already been answered. Amar, you answered about the similarity tool to ProSci ADCAR. Okay. Yes. And I'll ask the one last question, and then after that, please do give us your key takeaway on this webinar, please. Okay, last question. How the software projects-based companies promote the monetization and what PMs can do to promote this concept.
Can you repeat the question, Irene, please?
How the software project-based companies, so this is more on the software-based, because it's software-based companies or tech companies is not yet on your list, okay? Mm-hmm. So how do software project-based companies promote the demonetization? You mentioned about demonetization. And what project managers can do to promote this EBOS concept? Okay, very good. We have lots of case studies actually and business cases of this demonetization happening all around us with the big players. I believe you need to create traction around your software projects before you start thinking about monetization. Actually, you have to start with demonetization, I believe. So you have to start by offering the value, creating the communities and the traction for people seeing the value from what you're offering. And then, then you look at the business model as far as financials, how you're going to make money. And this is lots of, if you look at what Twitter is doing, X now, Google, what Netflix did, lots of companies, they followed this path. So there are lots of examples, business cases on software that came in to provide the value, focus on the value, and then money comes in. Okay, great. So before I close the webinar, what is the key takeaway that we'd like to share to our attendees?
Irene, I believe in positioning. I believe that you need, just like a sailboat in the waters that positions itself to be with the right wind in the right direction. We have to position ourselves to be in a place where we are part of this future, not absent from where the future is taking us. So everybody who's here, I salute you for coming, for being part, not being afraid to listen and see what is around the corner, as we said in the beginning. I salute you and help others do the same. Instead of fear taking over and crippling us, let's use actually hope and opportunities so we can create even more value in this world. That's the key thing, positioning for the future. Mm-hmm.
Positioning for the future, and tomorrow is always a different future than tomorrow what we are thinking of. Okay, thank you very much, Amar. This is really a very nice discussion, and if you have just seen the comments on the chat box, they say it's a new learning, something new, definitely. So again, I've learned about Blue Ocean before, and now I know there's a new version of Blue Ocean, which is the EBOS. Okay, to our attendees, as we close this webinar tonight, I would like to thank you all for your participation. As always, the success of every PMI UAE chapter event, whether it's virtual or face-to-face, is through the collaboration of all volunteering teams. So this includes our marketing team, membership, outreach, volunteering, finance, and governance. And until our next webinar, together with my events colleague behind the camera, Amir and Parvez, and on behalf of our Director of Events, Bavin Lad, this is Irene Corpus wishing you all a pleasant evening. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Irene, team, and everybody who attended. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thanks.
Bye.